Right then, everyone, we should be live for the first ever TNT live stream, the Northern Tubers.
Woo! Sorry, carry on, mate.
Please introduce yourselves.
After you, my Australian friend.
I'm I'm Paul C, and I am from sunny Sydney, now living in rain-filled London.
I'm Steve, also known as Addy Sneaker Freak, and I'm here.
Here on behalf of the TNT crew.
TNT, yes. So we're waiting on one more at least, aren't we, Russ? I believe.
We are. We're having a few technical issues with young Lee. I think he might be putting some face cream on. I think that's why he's taking so long.
Yeah.
But Paul, what makes you a Northern Tuber if you're from Australia?
Oh, that would be my mother. She's from Glasgow.
Oh,
right, okay. So that's up north.
Yeah.
So
and my dad's from London.
Tuber.
You got out of that quite well, didn't you? Actually, because you can't get much more south in Australia.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right then, guys. Bear with me because I need to see if we've got any comments. Because I forgot to look at that part. I'm hoping we're live.
It says we are.
Yeah, it says we are.
I can see comments.
For watching. Right. Here we go. We've got some comments. We've got Tim Bad Fuck Up and we've got LFC Gamer. Good evening, guys. I think we're doing okay with the stream. It says it's 7:20. It's struggling a little bit, but I think that's just Google Hangouts. Right, okay. Let me just make sure I can keep an eye on these comments. So, what's this stream going to be about tonight? It's going to be a friendly discussion about something that I talked about in one of my videos. I think the video is in the description. When I went to the Leeds Retro Market, I was looking for a SNES Everdrive, and I asked a particular seller if they sold SNES Everdrives, and he turned around and said, no, we don't do emulation here. And I thought, fair enough, because I don't think the Everdrive is technically emulation. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about, Everdrives. What do you guys think of Everdrives?
Well, is it called an Everdrive if it's for a Nintendo, or is it a SNESerdrive? That'll be my first question.
That's a good point.
Everdrive.
I don't know.
That's a good question, Steve. I think the chap who makes them. You know, I've got one in front of me. I've got two in front of me. These are my Everdrives, both from Crits. This is where we need Rob, because Rob knows. Is he Polish? It's not Polish, is it?
Ukraine, isn't it?
Ukraine, that's it. Ukrainian chap. I think the first one he did was for the Mega Drive, so hence Everdrive.
It's a good name. It's a good name, to be fair. Good name.
Could be wrong. I could be wrong. So, yeah. In my video, I mentioned that since having an Everdrive, it's kind of killed my collecting. Not that I do much collecting anyway, but it's killed me buying games for the Everdrive, because I know I've got this bad boy with the little SD card inside, and it's got every Mega Drive game on there, and Master System as well, and 32X. No Mega CD though. And the other one is the Turbo Everdrive for the PC Engine. So why did I buy these? Because originally I was against Everdrives. I always said that I wanted to buy games, I wanted to play original hardware, blah 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 blah. I thought Everdrives were emulation. It turns out they're not. I'm not the most technical chap, but the way it works, I think, is the ROMs are loaded onto the little SD card. You plug this into your hardware, your Mega Drive, for example, and the SD-ROM, the ROM from the SD card goes onto the chip, and then the Mega Drive loads it up as it would with a normal game, and you're playing proper ROMs. As long as you get good ROMs, that is. Don't know where you get them from. Maybe the darker regions of the internet. But as long as you get decent ROMs, you should technically be playing the same ROMs as a normal Mega Drive game.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
So, what do you guys think to that? I mean, emulation versus Everdrive,
Well,
is it the same thing?
No, it's different. I mean, for me, the Everdrive thing primarily is very much what the music industry faced when it moved from physical to digital kind of thing. But I mean, as long as the actual concept is still there, I mean, you're still playing it on your hi-fi, for example. You know what I mean? You're still playing it through the source of what's making the music. I mean, all that is a storage medium for the ROM. So it's just a different chip that the ROM is on, to me. So
Yeah,
so
exactly right.
You know, I mean, it's not like, I mean, the thing with the digital music, obviously, if you just got an MP3 file, that was downgraded from the original quality, but you can get FLAC, which is lossless, and there's no difference between having that album on a CD and a FLAC file. It's physically identical. And I mean, I'll make the analogy over to games. It's just a storage medium to dump the ROM into the machine and play it. That's all an Everdrive is.
Yeah, exactly right. And something we were actually talking about earlier, Russ, was the I wouldn't say the concept, but the effectively the way it's doing the dumping from the SD card onto the ROM, onto one of the memory chips. It's been around. This technology has been around for a long time. I mean, this was kicking around in the NES days. If you would go to some dodgy countries, for instance, that would do a lot of pirated cartridges,
like
you would
Australia.
see. Yeah, exactly. So if you would take a trip to Bali, for instance, and you would come back with the Best of Bali NES cartridge, this would have 10, 15 games already loaded on. Just the main difference is now, rather than being able to fit, exactly, that Neo Geo one is a classic example of this, is we're just able now to put a hell of a lot more ROMs on there than you were able to previously, just due to space. But the technology has been the same.
Yeah. I mean, another question to consider for the Everdrive debate or discussion, let's try and keep this friendly, is a few people have commented about not putting the entire library of ROMs on there because that can kill. Too much choice can be a bad thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I'll go back to my digital music thing.
Yeah.
Back in the days of vinyl, you treasured the album. You would play it front to back because it's a whole rigmarole. Taking it out the cover, looking at the cover of the artwork, putting it on the player, and you'd appreciate the album as a whole thing. Whereas digital music now, I mean, I've got like a hard drive there with about 20,000 songs on. I know I don't appreciate the artwork as much as I did. So I think the same is probably true of games where you have that much choice. Because I remember getting a game, and even when I was a kid, even if it was rubbish, I'd still play on it because I'd spent my money on it. Yep. Whereas if you've got like every Mega Drive game ever made and it's rubbish, you just go, nah. And it might get better over time, or it might just always be crap. But you know, you wouldn't know that, and you wouldn't appreciate the game as much either way, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. Absolutely agree.
Okay, before we move on, let's just have a quick read of the comments. So we've got LFC Gamer. I'm an overner myself from the not really lovely town of Widnes. Lucas McIntosh, the chap who was just on my GRS. Hi everyone. LFC Gamer. I never thought about getting an Everdrive myself. Rockstar Runner 7. Rob is here. Good evening, Rob. Ukraine, yeah, that's right, Ukraine. Pete on a retro tips here. Hi all.
Hey,
LFC
Pete.
gamer. I prefer physical games, physical copies of games, but that's down to preference. Steve, nice bit of feeler going on. I like it.
Oh, hiya, Tim. All right, cheers, mate.
Rocking the feeler. Rocking the feeler. So, yeah, there's other tuber, still can't get on.
Is he in the vortex, Russ?
I don't know what's going off.
Lee messaged me and said he was blocked.
He's blocked. He's not blocked. Right. Okay. So when I did the Leeds video on my channel, I mentioned about not buying games because I had the Everdrive. But to be honest with you, I didn't have anything on my list. The games I've got, I don't know if you can see them behind me. They're all my Mega Drive games. I've probably got about 12 games that are from my original collection back in the day that I've never sold, and then I've probably got 15 games, 20 games that I've bought since, and yeah, there's nothing else really on my radar apart from when I was talking to you earlier, Paul, Turtles Hyperstone Heist, which is the game I originally went to buy, and then I took my mum into getting the Mega CD, blah 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 blah. But in the, I'm going to read some of the comments that a few tubers have left on the Leeds video. So we'll start at the top. Darren, Mr. Cellbox said, he's put, I know what you mean about the Everdrives. It's a subject I often think about. In reality, the Everdrive is a great tool, an essential item for anyone wanting to access the library on real hardware and doesn't have the space, funds, or interest to actively collect. So, that's his first comment. I'm not going to read Steve's comment out. Begins with B, something to do with cake. You know that, right? Okay, second comment's from Stu, Tutor UK. Reference Everdrive. Reference Everdrive. It's a shame it's ruined the collecting for you, but everyone says it devalues the games, and you tend not to invest in them. In brackets, keep switching between them. I know that feeling with my MAME arcade machine. I just kind of switch between, you have 5-10 minutes on one game, and then you turn it off and you just have another go on something else. One from your neck of the woods, Paul, Tony, Electric Adventures. I think he lives in Tasmania. Does he live in Tasmania?
Does he really?
I think so, yeah, I'm sure he does.
God's country down there.
So he does have a few Everdrive systems, but I use them to play games that I have with less wear on the hardware and to a lesser extent for those box titles, so you're not stressing the packaging. I can still get the game out to look at it, read the back of the manual, but don't have to muck around getting the cartridge working. What I don't do is dump the whole ROM library for a system onto an SD card, though, as it makes me feel overwhelmed and I spend more time thinking about which game to play rather than actually playing. So that's a good point. We spoke about that already, haven't we? Too much choice can be a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good point that he made about the wear and tear on the system, because obviously these machines are getting older, and eventually they're going to be harder and harder to either find parts for or replace entirely. So the ability of just having one of these cartridges in each of its respective systems and being able to play from there is, I can only see being a good thing.
Yeah, I know my Mega Drive. I've gone through a few. Well, I'm on my third Mega Drive now, and they are a little bit temperamental with loading cartridges.
Yeah.
So having an Everdrive for when I do the live streams, it's just so much simpler. I can just leave it in there, press start and A on the controller, it takes me back to the main menu, and I can just pick a game. I'm not messing around trying to get a game to work, because, like you said, cartridges are getting on and they are a little bit temperamental.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is also for certain platforms like the NES and Super NES, not having to open and close the boxes all the time, because you only have to look at those things sideways and they start creasing. So just the wear and tear on the actual boxes and that themselves, if you're a collector, it's not going to ruin that experience, because effectively you're still going to buy them because you want the box and the manual and all that sort of stuff anyway, and at least that way it can kind of sit on the shelf You can still look at it and do what you need to do, but have the actual cart itself running, or the game itself running off the Everdrive.
Looks like we've got a new guest. Can you hear us, Lee?
I can hear you.
Hey, there we go.
Ooh.
Welcome.
I've been stressing like mad, you won't believe. I've been some rate cursing.
What were it, and?
I just logged in with a different account. This is not my normal Google account. Apparently you blocked me, I think. Someone did.
I think it will fall.
Don't blame me.
Well, we're glad you're here, Lee. You probably missed first 10 minutes or so.
Without talking about how good Everdrive.
Yeah, that's it. What's your brief thoughts on the Everdrive?
Well, I think it's banging. I think to be honest now, I'm going Everdrive everything. To be fair, I mean I've never had a problem with emulation in first place because having an arcade cab, you've got no choice but to go down that route if you want everything on that one system. And plus, with arcade games, you're not going to have every PCB board in machine, so you've got to emulate it to do that. And then when I wanted to get back into collecting, I was never going to go for a full game collection because I can't afford it and I ain't got space. So to feed that, like to scratch that collecting itch, I thought I'll just go for consoles. And then I've just got my first Everdrive cart for Mega Drive, and it's smashing. You can't fault it. Can't fault it at all. I mean, I can't even tell any difference. I mean, between an original game in Mega Drive and playing off an Everdrive cart, it just runs perfect. I mean, with emulation, you can see it, you can feel it when you're playing games. But Everdrive, no different from a real cart, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
And would you class yourself as a retro gamer or a retro game collector?
Don't get me wrong. If I could afford it and I had space, I'd have all set of games. I'd have a lot. But I can't, so Everdrive's for me the only option, really. And to be fair as well, even if I had a full set of Mega Drive, full set of SNES games, I'd still probably get an Everdrive for all them systems, so I could just leave them, and you don't have to touch them, and they're all going to stay mint, aren't they? They're not going to get damaged. So I'd still go for an Everdrive, no matter what I were doing, whether I were a gamer or a collector. I'd still do Everdrive.
Yeah, a few people commented about that, and I know Paul's mentioned it already about. So you can just leave the Everdrive in the hardware, and you can leave the software on the shelves if you want to do that.
I think it's the best way for me.
Right. So I'll read a few more comments out from my Leeds video. Let's have a look. We've got one from Simon, Mr. Consistent. What's he saying? I agree with your thoughts on the Everdrive. I chipped my first Xbox and downloaded as many games as I could, and it kind of stopped me collecting originals. I haven't chipped anything since. So that's from Simon.
That's true. That I mean, I remember when I chipped my PlayStation, I just had that many. You used to be able to go to town on a Saturday morning and buy them off these blokes selling them on the street.
Yeah.
I had that many games. You'd play them for a little bit, and because next week you got a brand new game, you never really get rest of them any like a chance or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember doing the same thing for my original Xbox. As soon as that option was open, and you have, tens or hundreds of games sitting on the hard drive itself, it's just doesn't really matter. I just was burning through games every hour or so. I wasn't even bothering playing all the way through.
So like Steve said, you don't really treasure the game.
No.
Unless it's a good game. If it's a good game, it'll stand up and you'll carry on playing it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. Mark Holsberg, he's mentioned pity about not collecting because of the Everdrive. That was why I never bought one a few years back. But they do devalue the experience of playing a game as you tend to chop and change. However, at today's prices, they make a hell of a lot of sense. I only need 3 shooters for the PC Engine now, but I'm thinking about just buying an Everdrive, as they're all 200 quid games. So I mean that's another reason, isn't it? The price of retro games, original boxed retro games.
Look at the Neo Geo you got there, mate. How much were those 151? Is it 161? How much would they cost you?
All these.
Yeah. How much did that cost you?
This cartridge cost me about 45, 50 quid.
Yep.
That's not bad.
But I mean, to buy like Metal Slug 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the MVS, you're looking anything from 40 quid up to £100 each game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, price definitely plays a part, doesn't it? I'm sure if we all had all the money in the world, we'd all like pristine original games we could, you know, have us in keeping his collection.
Mm.
But I think price definitely plays a part.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing we were talking about before was we had a place that I was staying at. We had this massive flood about 15 years ago, and I lost quite a lot of my stuff in that flood. So I had, you know, like the big box copy of Super Metroid, the same thing with Earthbound. I had a Virtual Boy, a whole bunch of other stuff that all got damaged. If you try and look at replacing that now, it's just some of those games are 350 quid and up. Yeah. And it becomes very hard to try and justify that for effectively a box and a manual.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So you end up with the kind of two options, I suppose, is either one, do you go down the emulation route, so it's either illegally by downloading the ROM and downloading an emulator, or using something like Virtual Console on the Wii or Wii U, or the Everdrive. It just, I don't really see, unless you've got a lot of money to spend on that, yeah, it makes that decision very difficult.
And a lot of space. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, going back to emulation and the Everdrive, with emulation you can play it on pretty much anything, can't you? So let's stay with the Mega Drive. I mean, you can get these little Blaze handheld jobbies from Argos for like 15, 20 quid, and it's preloaded with games.
Yep.
Or you can get yourself a nice, well, I've got one myself in front of me. It's a MAME arcade machine with 10,000 games on, all the arcade games. Or you can get yourself an Everdrive. But the difference with the Everdrive compared to emulation is you're playing on the original hardware. You're still using the original hardware, using the machine, using the controller. You're making use of it, and technically it's not emulation.
No, it's not at all.
We've already said it's
ROM dumping, I call.
ROM dumping, yeah.
That is effectively what it is. It's just copying the ROM down to a rewritable memory chip, whereas a standard cart would only have it burnt on once, and that's it. Yeah. This allows you to basically constantly read and write it like a rewritable CD.
I mean, the Mega Drive doesn't know any different, does it?
No.
When you plug an Everdrive in, it's just playing it like it is a natural cart. Whereas, like you said, the emulation, it's just PC's pretending to be a Mega Drive in it, and that's where you get all this. It don't look as good, don't feel as good. I mean, it's like I think when you put that question on Twitter about Everdrive's good or bad or emulation, and then a conversation on my Twitter like spread off on that, because someone was saying they were against it and stuff, but had no problems with a Retron 5, which to me that's a bit confusing, because that is you've got the original game, but you're putting it in a system that's emulating the hardware.
Yeah, and in most cases the emulators that are actually running on the Retron 5 are nowhere near as sophisticated as the ones that you'll download for PC or Mac. So they have nowhere near the amount of options. So it's effectively, yeah, you're right.
It's like when you went to Leeds, innit, and you were asking, have you got any Everdrives?
Yeah.
And he pulled that face, and he did, instead of just saying no, he went no, and then went into, I don't do emulation and stuff like that. But then these same stores are selling Retron 5s, and they're selling games, because obviously, well, they sell you a Retron 5, it opens you up to buy more games off them. You buy an Everdrive cart of them, you're not going to fucking come back, are you? And that's it, it's done.
I'm just trying to find. Right, I've got it now. I've got the official results from the Twitter poll. So,
Drum roll.
We had it's not that fascinating actually. It's not that brilliant. We had an amazing 50 votes on my Twitter account. That's at Gruss_Newton. They're a plug there. And I just put on, are Everdrives bad for retro gamers? So I left it up to the people viewing the tweet as to what they want to make of that, because it's a pretty vague question. Are Everdrives bad for retro gamers? Yes, no, undecided. So yes came in at 8%, no came in at 74%, and undecided came in at 18%. And we did have a few tweets. Somebody's put, no, sometimes the market price is the collector's price, not the gamer's price. Well, that's something to think about, yeah. Let me just have another look. I was speaking with 8-Bit Andy Hug earlier on. He can't make it tonight, but I have got a quote from him. He's quoted, "Everdrives are all good, as long as it isn't emulation, it's fine by me. Little Samson is 400 quid on the NES. Everdrive is 90 quid. Do the maths." And he said, this is from someone who owns a lot of original NES games. So again, it's coming back to price, isn't it? Price versus whether you want to pay the money and, well, try and find an original game, pay the money and have that in your collection, or you could just have an Everdrive and run it on real hardware, or you could emulate it. I know what I'd rather do. If I couldn't afford it, I'd have it on Everdrive.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's Kevin Bacon.
It's like you said, don't it? Yeah, the collector again. If you're a collector, then an Everdrive's not good for you, is it? You've got to fight for it.
The other advantage is also the fact that the Everdrive is really good for playing not just homebrew games, but unreleased games. So, I mean, you look at a game like Star Fox 2, for instance. The only way to be able to play that outside of emulation and maybe something like the Everdrive is to burn it onto another cart, and therefore wreck the previous cart, if you know what I mean, like deleting the cart in order to actually play it. Whereas if you've got the Everdrive or something similar like emulation, you're actually able to then play some of these games.
I think Amiga Old School's commented on the stream just about that now, to be honest with you. That very same point.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Let me just read a few comments out, actually, because we've had a few. Can you guys see the comments as well?
Yeah.
I'm just putting them on now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm loading it up.
We'll get the comments up and then we'll try and keep up. Right, let me just clear this backlog of comments. So Lucas has said, don't mind Everdrives, to be honest, they look so cool. It's like having a massive library of games at your fingertips. I mean, that is good, but whether too much is a bad thing. LFC Gamer, I may get an Everdrive for the SNES. You know how expensive certain PAL games are. It's also a good way to try out games if you consider maybe buying a physical copy. Try it before you buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be a bit controversial if LFC Gamer to buy an Everton drive? Sorry, that was a terrible joke.
Okay, some of the prices for those games are astronomical. LFC Gamer, I've seen people have £60 for a PAL copy of Super Mario Kart. It's ridiculous. LFC Gamer, I had a chipped PS1 when I was a kid. I was devastated when it stopped working. Pete's here again. My friend is sitting next to me and he had an Amstrad, which is of no relevance to this conversation. 6128. Tell you what, I've got one of them behind me. Can you see it? Can we see it? Is that what you're commenting about, Pete?
There's a lot of Amstrad love here, Ross. Just to say, there's a lot of Amstrad love. You know, me and you, mate, we both grew up with the machine, didn't we?
So not wrong with Amstrad. So Gary, Acedona 150. Wasn't there a plug adapter for PS1 that just worked like a chopped chip PS1? Yeah, that's like an action replay one. It plugged into the serial port. I think they were actually. And then Amiga Old School, Adam. Homebrew, new games that have never been finished, you can play with Everdrive, such as the SNES Lobo.
Oh yeah, good point.
Kind of like, and then Gary's put, kind of like there was a Game Boy player for PS1 that only worked with early PS1 models, and black and white games had no sound emulation. The Game Boy player for the PS1, I've not heard of that before.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, that must be some unofficial type one.
Yeah, so we've caught up with the comments, so just keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Ross, I've noticed in your background you've got a small robotic companion.
Which one?
That one over there. Well, I can only see one actually. Have you got two, have you?
Oh, we're talking about Brian.
Yes.
On top of the Amstrad.
Yeah.
Next to my ever-expanding Where's Wally collection. I'm still trying to get that off the ground, you know.
Do you know, like you were saying earlier about them chip PlayStations? I've actually been looking into them now, because you can actually get something that goes into serial port, and then you put an SD card in that, and you can play up PlayStation games through SD card. A bit pricey at the minute, like, but
Yeah.
again, it's something that I'm definitely going to have out.
Similar to, any of you guys sub to Kooky Tech?
No.
He's an Amiga guy. You may not be into the Amiga, but he's massive on the Amiga, and he's got loads of modded Amigas. And you open up the Amiga, and they put SSD cards and whatever in there. So I've got every Amiga game ever made. So similar to an Everdrive in a way, but for an Amiga.
Oh, I'm having one of them.
There's no more
awesome.
floppy drives going on, so it's all inside the case as well.
Oh, that's magic.
Well, that's what I've got for my Amstrad behind.
Yeah, similar thing, yeah.
See that? The GoTech drive that beeps.
Oh, that's slightly different. I think. Yeah, that emulates the input of the tape or disc, doesn't it? The GoTech.
Yeah.
But what he's done is actually just got a hard drive basically inside the board of the Amiga, and it's got everything on it. So really good. So, good channel actually. I think he's probably one of the first channels I sub. If I'm honest with you. He's,
have to send me a link, Steve. I'll check that out.
Yeah, he's really very, the way he presents and that, really very, very good. You know, it's a good watch.
Yeah.
Are they pricey then?
I don't know. I was a massive. I just emulate the Amiga on Win UAE. But I was a massive Amiga fan back in the day. I had a Mega Drive on an Amiga, one after another really. So I've got both in my history as a gamer. So I appreciate both sides of the fence really. You know? So,
I got my Amiga quite late on. I think I got it at the same time as a PlayStation. Amiga 600.
That's what I had. 600.
So, Amiga love. Some Amiga love there. No wrong with a bit of Amiga love. But, going back to my Amstrad, the Amstrad was the first ever computer I played on. And when I got it, I spent ages trying to remember what games I actually had for my collection. And then when Beeps offered me a Everdrive, GoTech jobby, I thought, yeah, that's brilliant, because I'll be able to go through each game and see if I can remember it, and then I'll be able to try it, and then I'll be able to try and track down the originals, and that's what I've been doing. Very slowly, because it's quite hard to find. I'm trying to go for a full, well, I say a full disc collection, but I'm trying to get all the games for the Amstrad on disc. And
a full collection?
Well, not a full collection, but I would like to get all the disc games I had back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to point out that we're being commented stream bombed by Carl Woodland 37.
Oh, I can see his comments there.
Just flying down at corner of my eye. Horrible language you're using, Carl. See you next Tuesday. This is a family show, Carl. Family show.
Do we need to hit him with a parental strike?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, maybe. See you next Tuesday. So I hope you guys are keeping up with the comments.
Yeah, watching now.
He's here. Just kidding, I'm here.
So how many more Everdrive carts are you thinking of getting then, Ross?
Well, that's another thing, isn't it, with Everdrive? The reason why, I don't know if you heard this late start, but the reason why I bought the Everdrive for the Mega Drive is because when I got my Nomad with the screen mod, I put it in its little aluminium flight case, and I thought, well, when I go on holiday, I need a way of playing games, and I don't want to lug a load of games along with me. I mean, I probably only need Sonic 2, but I thought now I get myself an Everdrive, and then I've got the entire Mega Drive collection on one cartridge. So that's the reason why I bought the Mega Drive Everdrive, and then the PC Engine one. Where was it gone? It's here. I had no intentions, zero intentions at all of buying any PC Engine games, because I knew I could just get every game on SD card, and that'll be me done. And I can also use that in my Turbo Express, which is the handheld version.
Yeah.
So it's just a convenient way, really.
But don't you find when you have a PC Engine side, U cards, they're extremely tactile, more, aren't they? Having these little cards.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose they are quite fragile. But I mean, the Everdrive, I just normally leave that either in the Turbo Express, or I just leave it plugged into PC Engine. And going back to the hardware, putting less strain on the hardware and wearing out the connectors and all that discussion. But no, I want an Everdrive next for the SNES, because I've got shock horror. I've got no real interest in collecting for the SNES. Boo. I do like playing on the SNES, but trying to find boxed half decent. I mean, I don't want to go out and buy a patty knackered box for the SNES.
No.
Yeah.
Because I just won't be happy with that. I'd want something nice. But once you get one nice game, you've then got to carry on, haven't you?
Yeah, you got to keep up the standards. Yeah, and it's
Standards, that's right.
to be honest with you, Nintendo were cheapskate bastards back in the day for you cardboard boxes. Just an opinion.
I think they should have took a page out of Sega's book.
Yeah, should have.
Go down the fantastic plastic route.
I think I'm about ready to hang up on this live stream now.
That might be why we still got Nintendo. We haven't got Sega anymore, because they spent all the money on plastic boxes.
That's exactly right. They made poor business decisions.
Actually, the DS games come in the nice little.
Yeah, they do, don't they? But,
There's actually a funny you say that, Steve. There's actually a pretty convincing rumor kicking around now that the Nintendo NX might end up using similar game carts. Well, that the DS uses anyway.
All right. Okay.
So they might end up moving away from CD-based games altogether now and going back to a form of a cart, whether it be like an SD card or something similar.
well, they do love the cartridges, don't they, Nintendo?
Yeah, absolutely.
They had the Nintendo 64 when everyone else had moved to disc, didn't they?
Yeah, they loved it, didn't they?
Yeah, really bad move.
Anyway, read the comments. Who's going to read the comments? I'm not reading them again. Scroll up or down or whatever.
Alright, so where are we up to then? Let's have a look.
You have to go back a bit.
There's loads, isn't it?
Past Carl swearing.
My comments aren't even loading in.
I'm liking your little display area you've got there, Paul, behind you.
Yeah, do you like this? This is the Sega corner.
Is that the Sega corner?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Right, okay, so back to the comments then. We've got Acadonia 150. So
Yeah,
it's
Gary.
a lot of PS1 games and a lot of copies. Though a lot were my favourite games, for I wouldn't be able to play without them. Oh, be able to play without them. Yeah, no space there. Okay, so, okay. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I play a lot of PS. I mean, that's probably one of my main retro collections. My PS1. That's all I do really retro collecting wise now. But I think the Dreamcast was the big one, wasn't it? That used to be able to burn the discs dead easy. I remember that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the Mega CD, wasn't it? There was no copy protection on that at all.
No protection. I never knew this. I never knew this until Rob sent me some silver special edition discs last year. I never knew it. I didn't realise. Same as the PC Engine CD. That came out. I think that was the first ever CD-based console. Came out in about 1988, and that had no CDR. Because I mean, back in '88, no one had a CD burner.
No.
Yeah, no.
It was. I remember on like Bad Influence and that, or whatever, the early shows. The first series, they used to tout CDs as pirate-proof.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look at the other comments then. We've got quite a few. So, Woodland 37's just a women Amiga old school's having a bit of banter, I think. LFC Gamer says he buys games just to play them, not to leave them gathering dust. Okay.
Fair comment.
Yeah. Let's just have a look. Acadonia 150 again saying I just use my DS flash card for PC Engine games. They emulate almost perfectly on it. So I'm sure they probably do actually.
Yeah, I've heard that before. The DS playing PC Engine.
Yeah, LFC Game is saying SNES agreeing with what we say. They're really expensive to collect for. And he spent £40 on Super Castlevania 4. Well, he thinks that was worth it because it's a great game.
Great game. Awesome soundtrack as well.
A bit of Castlevania love. So Lucas McIntosh is agreeing. Epic game. There's a lot of comments on Castlevania 4 now, so I'll just whiz past them. Alright, Amiga Old School has asked the question. What are your thoughts if you're a Sega fanboy? So Russ.
What's that? Repeat that again, Steve.
What are your thoughts if you're a Sega fanboy and you want to experience the SNES for the first time? I would say, what games would you recommend to buy? I think what they're saying there. So if Russ is quite new to Nintendo,
yep.
Mr. Steve, you're big on your Nintendo, aren't you? So what would you recommend Russ to buy? If you'd never met Russ, Russ had a Sega cap on saying Nintendo shit.
Are we talking purely the Super NES, or are we talking NES as well?
Super Nintendo was the question, but okay. I think the same thing's relevant for both, isn't it, really?
Oh, man.
I think you just recommend a SNES Everdrive, won't you, Paul? Try before you buy.
I would, to be honest, I would probably say, man, Super Castlevania is an awesome game. Link to the Past is amazing. Super Metroid is another great game. Super Mario World, Chrono Trigger. It all depends on what your
Sonic 2.
Come on, man. Come on.
No, but what if someone only played Sonic 2 again and again and again?
Okay.
Well, what would you recommend them?
I'm just trying to think what would be something like Mario, I'd imagine.
It'd have to be Mario World, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Super Nintendo, but not as well as the Mega Drive library. Are there any fast-paced cartoon platformers for the Super Nintendo? I mean, I know you got the Mario game, but Mario's Mario, isn't it?
Tiny Toons.
Yeah,
awesome.
Tiny Toons.
Buster Bust Loose.
Yeah, that's the one.
Amazing game. Such a great game.
Oh, has he got it?
Yeah, that's it.
There we go. I do own a few SNES games. Not many.
So that's a good answer to Amiga Old School's question, then, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a couple other really good like platforming games on Super NES. Like the two Addams Family games are really good. Obviously, all the Mario ones are really good.
It was Street Fighter 2 for SNES.
Yeah.
That got caned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of his signature games, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah, that was standout for me. I think I don't think anything came close to Street Fighter 2. That was just amazing. I remember working in a work experience in a video game shop, and they got 5 copies, Japanese version, and we were selling it for 99 quid. Sold all 5 straight away.
Yeah, I remember in the magazines used to have that all the time. It was about 90 odd quid, wasn't it, for bought Street Fighter 2?
Because that took a long time to come out for the Mega Drive, didn't it?
Yeah.
They had to bring a special pad out, didn't they? Because it had 3
It was about a year later, wasn't it, I think?
Have you seen PC Engine version of Street Fighter 2? It's quite impressive for how powerful that machine is.
Yeah.
Considering that kit came out at the same time about NES and Master System.
I mean, the PC Engine, actually, for what it is, I mean, not just Street Fighter 2, is bloody impressive, full stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you look at the and the graphics and the colours that come through on those games.
Considering it's technically an 8-bit console, it
was it 8 plus 8, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And 8-bit, what was the other 8? Was that just sound? Wasn't it?
I think it's 8-bit graphics and 8-bit sound, I think.
Well, I mean, I don't know who did the conversions of all the arcade games for PC Engine, but they're very talented people, weren't they, to be honest with you?
Yeah, Street Fighter is really good. I'm planning on doing some PC Engine on a future GRS. Hashtag GRS. Gruss's Retro Stream.
Back to if we steer the conversation back towards the Super NES again, is both Capcom and Konami were producing just awesome games in that time period. That was pretty much their heyday, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You had what was it? Super Ghouls and Ghosts was another great one for Super NES.
There was, yeah. I mean, Capcom for me was, especially in the arcades at the time, were fantastic, weren't they?
Sorry, can I just interrupt you there? We've just had a confirmed at 9:54. Paul's probably seen this, but Rob has just confirmed we've had an
Did I say it? I didn't.
You said it. You said it, Paul. Big Daddy C. Big Daddy C.
We forgot Donkey Kong Country as well. That was another really good platformer for Super NES.
Careful, because we could get a copyright strike.
Actually, in the comments, LFC Gamers mentioned Donkey Kong Country 2 in particular.
Yes, great one.
So I mean, I've only sort of skirted around those games, but I have heard from people that have played or tried to play through them that the difficulty is quite hard later on.
Yeah, they are hard games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, steering back towards the Everdrive emulation subject, shall we list some pros and cons, and we'll get some of the people watching to also list pros and cons. So if you're watching, or you probably are watching, just put at the start of your comment pros or cons, and then just list what it is, and we're going to read it out. And we've got Mr. Soulfunk Retro in the house. Good evening, Matthew.
Right, Matt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. 9:54 confirmed.
Hey, Mark, you all right? Welcome to the TNT, baby.
First ever. Oh yeah. So yeah, pros and cons. Right, we're going to start. I'll start. I'll do a pro and a con. Pro, you can play all the really expensive games on your original hardware. Cons, you can play every single game on the original hardware, and maybe that's too much choice. Moving on.
Okay, I'll go next then. Yeah, pros for the Everdrive for me. It's a 21st century solution, and it's basically a childhood dream. Massive pro.
Into that.
The con is, it's keeping this experience probably of not your favourite games, but the lesser games, which if you bought in a day and you were so on, you would have given more time to. That's me.
Yeah.
I'll say for a pro, it's just convenient. It's convenient to have them all on one like little cartridge. Only bad thing only point of view I can see from a bad point of view is if it brings down value at games, but again, if you're a collector, that might not be a bad thing as well. It might be a good.
But surely, if we all had Everdrives and we never bought a single game again, surely that would put more games, original games, on the market.
But collectors.
Which would then devalue the game, I suppose.
But then again, though, if you look at these people that are collectors, I don't think collecting these full sets of master systems so that in a couple of years' time they can flog them and make a load of money. They're collecting them because they want them. They don't want to get rid of them. So.
A good example, like Cyber Snake 7, if you ever watched his Man v Master System.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great series, and when he starts, it's really exciting, isn't it? And you sort of your heart's with him, isn't it? When he goes, right, I've only got this many games to go. I've nailed this off the list. He's not in it for making money. He's in it for his passion, isn't he? So.
Yeah. He'd actually be a really good one to speak to about what his thoughts would be on the Everdrive. Both him and Retro Dave, purely from the sense of they've invested a lot of money buying games in the best possible quality that they can get them at, and having that I suppose convenience thing of, well, I can just put it up on the shelf so it'll never get damaged, but yet I've always still got access to it via the Everdrive. It'd be interesting to see what their thoughts are.
Well, a question for you then, Paul. If you were to play Sonic 1 on the Everdrive, you've invested that much money in building the ultimate Sonic 1 collection.
I know. I won't rest until I've got a whole Billy bookshelf case of Sonic 1.
If you keep buying any more, it'll go up in value.
Right, okay, let's read a few comments out. Rockstar Run 7, Rob, you still got my comments, Russ. I got the one about the confirmed at 9:54. Apologies, Rob, just trying to keep up with the comments. Lucas McIntosh, pros, pretty much every game you could want to play. Cons might be a bit overwhelming. Riddler on YouTube, Ken, good evening, Ken. I think some cons of using ROMs will be the quality of the dump. Some ROMs are incomplete. Now, I have experienced this in the GRS recently. A few people chose a few games and it would not play. I don't know whether that's a Master System thing or what, but the Mega Drive ROMs, you what, sorry?
They could be corrupted as well.
They could be, yeah. The Mega Drive ones all seem to be okay. But the Master System ones, I have had a few issues with. So, yeah, that's a very good point there, Ken. Keith, the Fat Gamer last evening, Keith. How the devil are you? Beat Armour, you've made me very self-conscious of that. Pros, flick a switch and it's all there. Everything you want or need. And then he's put cons, nothing. LFC Gamer, some ROM hacks don't work properly or don't work at all on Everdrive. Matt Soulfunk Retro, con, too much choice. Yeah, we've spoken about too much choice. And then Pete's comment on that. Too much choice is certainly an issue. Matt, I find it hard to know what to play with the games I have. Going back to earlier on, Paul, I was telling you when I had my little Mega Drive stand and it used to hold my little my line of 10 Mega Drive games that used to come in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I used to sit there for about half an hour. I mean, I still do it now. I can look at these games over here and think, what shall I play?
Yeah.
You know what the answer's going to be, don't you?
Do you know what? Like, as we were saying before, I had that.
No, you know what the answer's going to be, don't you?
Yeah.
What is it going to be?
Sonic 2.
There we go.
But see, like, regardless if you've got the Everdrive or not, I suppose that's also going to depend on how big your collection is. So that example I was talking about a while ago with you, Ross, was when I went to Matt's place. He's got nearly every game invented in his cabin. So regardless if he's got an Everdrive or just all those physical cards, I spent more time looking and deciding what game I wanted to play than actually playing the games.
I'd actually say, in fact, Russ's Everdrive, your Everdrive is just Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Mega Drive, Sonic 2, Master System. That's it. That's all I play. That's all I play.
Do you know when someone said about some ROMs don't work properly? Do you know there's a game on Mega Drive. It's called Goal. I think it's called Dino Dini's Soccer on Mega Drive.
Yeah.
And apparently there's because it had some sort of battery backup or something. It don't play. Like every time you do a tackle, you get sent off. The scores are ridiculous, and everyone were criticising his game that bad that Dino Dini actually went into ROM itself and did a fix for ROM, so ROM works now on Mega Drive.
He's a top bloke, Dino Dini. He follows me on Twitter actually, and I follow him.
Yeah, I had spoken to him.
A few conversations, yeah. But yeah, that game was based on the Amiga game called Goal, which was basically Kickoff 3, because he fell out with Anko, who made the Kickoff series, and they made their own Kickoff 3.
That was shocking.
Which was shite. So yeah, it was a good game actually.
Yeah, there is a video on YouTube. If you go to his channel and you like playing Dino Dini's Soccer, if you just watch his video, it tells you what to put into script. Some sort of.
He's just a nice bloke, isn't he? And if you ever go to his channel, he plays music, doesn't he? Acoustic guitar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's a good singer as well, and he does little songs and that. And he's just one of those characters that's. He's just a nice guy though. He really communicates with. Cause he obviously gets a lot of people from, way back when that remember him, his game, because his name was plastered all over his football games. It's quite a distinctive name, so everyone remembers him. But he does communicate quite a lot with the fans. Not like Andy Crane, Russ.
Whoa. Well, we'll talk about.
Has he still got a restraining
order? How about that, Berlin? Anyway, let me finish the comments. Rob, Rockstar107. I meant my comments on the Everdrive from our messenger conversation. Rob, I've got them in front of me. I'm going to read them out in just a minute. Gary, Acidonia 150. I bought my Android tablet just for free games and offers and emulators, so never spent anything on games for it. Keith's back. Cons, too many options. Maybe it devalues the individual game in your mind, leading to chopping and changing too often and not really getting stuck into a game. It's all a bit techie, and I know I'd bugger it all up. That's all I can really think of. LFC Gamer, fantastic point, Keith. Gary, all I use my Android tablet mostly is 32X Space Harrier. So, I was speaking to Rob, all the way from Finland, and let's have a look. We were talking about the Everdrive. I said something about it's reading ROMs from the SD card as the original card would read it from the chip. He's put, yep. As I've always, this is what he said, as I've always said, no one should have a problem with them. It leaves the real carts to the collectors who want them. So that obviously boils down to the old, if you're a collector or if you're just a general gamer, really. I suppose it's a valid point. I mean, if we're all playing on those Everdrives at home, there's going to be more cartridges out there for the real collectors. But then I suppose that devalues the carts. Would you agree? If there's more on the market, then that's going to bring them down in value.
Yeah, it goes back to whether they want to sell that collection in end once they've filled it, doesn't it?
Mm. But I think the cart games being cheaper is good for collectors. It's not as good for sellers, it's good for collectors.
I think people that get hit by this most than Everdrive carts it's probably eBay sellers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't see how this is going to, if if emulation didn't devalue carts to a great extent, I just don't know how this is going to make a dent.
Oh, well,
It'd need people to give up the collections and move to Everdrive, and then eventually there's just a lot more games in circulation. But like I said, I can't. If you're starting to collect for a system, I can't see you wanting to gear them up, because I won't gear up if I had them.
Yeah.
So Rob has just put the value is to you, not some dollar amount.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a very good point.
Nostalgia value as well, isn't it? What you like me and Russ. I've got a lot of nostalgia for the Amstrad, and so is Overbug. But Amstrad was very much the third choice machine in the 80s in the UK, as in the popularity. It was generally Commodore 64 Spectrum. I think they had about 30% of the market. Amstrad probably had 20%, and then the rest filled that little, I don't know, 15-20% left over. But you don't see many books or anything like that about the Amstrad these days. It's all Commodore 64 or Specky, isn't it, Russ? So, but the value of what we remember that machine is just a pure nostalgia, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. The rose-tinted glasses, or the nostalgia glasses. I mean, that can make you do weird and wonderful things. I mean, for example, if I went to one of these retro markets and I saw, I don't know, the first ever PAL print, or PAL copy of Sonic 2, and it had all the documents with it, and it were, I don't know, say for instance, it were £500. It were £500, and it was the first Sonic 2 cartridge to be printed and then moved to the UK. Would I spend £500 on that game?
You would, yeah.
I bloody would, yeah.
For 500 quid, that sounds cheap. I think even I'd buy it.
I'd buy it. I would need it. I would need that in my collection. Definitely. And I suppose that's what collectors look at. I mean, they see these really nice condition SNES games, and they want them in the collection, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing finer than having a pristine collection of games on your shelf.
Looks amazing.
It's whether you're going to play those games. It's whether you dare open the boxes, you dare wear those connectors out on the cartridges. And I suppose that's where emulation and Everdrives come into play.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Nintendo. I think the Mega Drive is probably not so bad because the boxes were really good boxes, but especially with Nintendo or even, like, for example, I collect PS1. Those game boxes were hideously fragile. So often,
oh, shocking.
Yeah, those
Dreamcast.
Like the Dreamcast, yeah. So quite often, I collect for the PS1 now. I'll buy something on eBay or whatever, and I'll have to put a comment in to the seller. Please, can you put this in a box so the case doesn't arrive in a million pieces? So I've got a drawer full of replacement cases because I know half the games I buy, even though it'll be listed as mint, and it will be mint when it arrives here, like one of the arms will be snapped because they're like flat jewel cases that they use. They're so bloody fragile. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're bloody rubbish PS1 cases. They really weren't meant to test the time. Right then, Riddler on YouTube, he's put no devalue at all. Carts are expensive as ever. So I think that's going back to when I said about keeping the Everdrive and trying to keep them on the market. Matt, I don't collect my games for money, so it doesn't bother me. Rob, rolling in time, motherfuckers. LFC Gamer, I don't expect my games to be pristine, but as long as it's in good working order, I can always afford mint condition games. Chap from Twitter, Ergon, is that how you say your name? Yeah, tell me about it. He's just putting PS1 games in jiffy bags. LFC Gamer, the Dreamcast games are worse than PS1 cases. So
They used to just snap so easy in Dreamcast games. Ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I think the Dreamcast and the PS1 were such of the weakest cases ever, weren't they?
How many full sets of games do you think there is still available for each system? I mean, do you think there's a lot of SNES games, full complete ones, all boxed and all mint, knocking about?
Over time, yeah. Over time, I mean, I think if you're looking for anything and you're looking for a period of a few years, it will come up. But you have to spend a lot of time to build, if you wanted that complete collection. I mean, again, the good thing is Cyber Snake thing, it's taken years to build a Master System PAL collection, and you know, he's saying now, if you look at his recent videos, some of the ones he's wanting now are the rarer ones and stuff. And I think he's gone back and he said if he did it again, he'd hit the rarer ones first and leave the common ones at the end of the collection.
Because they're only going to go up in value, aren't they?
Yeah. Anyway, Ross, where's little Frank?
He's downstairs in bed. he was up here earlier on actually when I did the GRS. I was gonna he was fast asleep at the side of me, but no, when I went downstairs he wanted to go down, so I took him down. But yeah, I'm well happy with the Everdrive. I know I commented in that Leeds video. I said it put me off buying games, but at the time I had nothing really on my list, and I know I mentioned to you, Paul, earlier on. I said all the decent games would be gone anyway within the first hour because the people with a list or the collectors after certain games, they're going to go into these retro markets and they're going to buy these games up. So, but if I see a game that's in nice condition, probably going to be a Mega Drive game if I'm being honest. If I see a nice Mega Drive game in nice condition and I want it, I will still buy it even though I've got the Everdrive. But with these retro markets, I think you get quite a bit of crap, don't you? Would you agree? I mean, I've seen videos where people pick up some really good games, but I think I'm just unlucky. I just don't see that.
Well, I did same as you. I went round that market and games thinking they were they were just like loose cards, like Final Blow and stuff like that, Japanese games. And I thought, oh, I might get this, and I just thought, I've already sent for an Everdrive card. What's the point? It's pointless for me. Pointless for me buying them.
I think if you want a few nice, because you know there is something to be said for the artwork of game cover, a bit like vinyl back in the day. Something to be said about the appreciation of an on-the-shelf display. Like if you look at Russ's background there, and he's got all the artwork at an angle. I mean, it looks
by the way, Steve, that was totally my idea. To angle the games like that. That was totally 100% my idea. It wasn't Mr. Soulfunk Retro Store's idea at all. Just to be clear on that.
But I mean, it's still a good thing to have. You know, like you were saying again, Russ, with your Amstrad, you're thinking about getting all your childhood games, and maybe you get the physical copies of what means something to you, and will look good on the shelf, or what nice artwork games are about, and then the rest of the stuff you just emulate or you put on a chip like an Everdrive and play it that way. So you get the best of both worlds in that way, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think Dave asked that question once, didn't he, about do you need to own them games to get that nostalgia back? And some people saying, yeah, I need to have the game, I need to have the machine, and it brings back all the memories of when I was a kid and stuff like that. But my answer to that was what brings back the memories for me as being a kid is actually playing the game. So it doesn't matter what I play it on. I could play it on an arcade cab, I could play it on a PC. It's as soon as I'm playing that game, it's them game memories that bring it all back for me. So it's not physical stuff.
I mean, half the games I had in Amstrad back in the day were copied tapes anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a bit of a story as well. But when I was a kid, I went down. I think I had £5, and my dad gave me £5 to go get a game. So me and my mate went down to Computer Adventure World, which was the local computer shop. And I think we bought Outrun Europa. And me and my mate went down. So we came back and we put it in the hi-fi tape. But we put the tape in the wrong way round. So we copied over the game.
Oh no.
Yeah. So then I was really, my dad was really good about it actually, but we went back to the shop and he wouldn't take it back. He probably knew what had happened, you know, it weren't soft. They refused to take games back. They knew what was going on. I said, it's not worth it. He wouldn't buy it. Anyway, as it happens, my dad gave me £10 more and he felt sorry for me. I got Chase King, which is a far better game. I was happy anyway. So.
We used to do that with my mates. We used to be like tenors, and we used to like save as dinner money or a bit of money we had from school, and we bought new Spectrum games when they came out. Like the first one we did was like Batman the movie. All put £1 in, bought Batman the movie, and then everyone just did a copy for everybody, and we just used to buy Spectrum games like that. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's not all original based on nostalgia, especially computers, because. I mean, like with the Amiga, a little bit later on, every town would have a computer club, and it'd be just like I don't know, a village hall, something like that. And there'd be loads of nerdy school kids in there, and setting up all the Amigas and the Atari STs and whatever, and it'd just be basically copying each other's games.
Mm.
You go with 20, 30 floppy disks, and you come home with loads of games.
Yeah. I don't think I ever owned an Amiga original game. I think
no,
that's
one of the reasons it died in the end, unfortunately. But well, that and gross mismanagement at Commodore, because Commodore was the almost the Apple of the very early 90s. They were so far ahead of the rest of the competition with the Amiga computers. We didn't know what they had, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's another conversation, guys. Should we go back to the main topic?
Yeah.
Going back to your question, Lee, a few minutes ago, you said about playing on games and bringing back memories, and it didn't really matter what you played it on, whether it were an Everdrive or Emulation, etc.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to mention Sonic 2. Obviously. Whenever I play Sonic 2, I always try and play my original cartridge, my original very tatty cartridge, and recently I've been playing it on the Everdrive, purely for another reason. I've got a version 1 Everdrive, and it allows me to use save states.
Yeah, save states. That's a good point, bro.
Which we've not even touched on that save states.
Really
but for someone who's played a shitload of Sonic 2, if I play it on the Everdrive and I play it on my original cartridge, I can honestly say that I can't tell the difference. I really can. Hand on heart, I can say that I can't tell the difference. However, if I play Sonic Jam on the Sega Saturn, which is a genuine Sega game, Sonic Jam, if you're aware, it's like a Sonic compilation game. I play it on genuine Sega hardware. I can tell the difference. If I'm playing Sonic, I think it's Sonic 1 on Sonic Jam, I can tell the difference. It just feels ever so slightly off. And apparently I've looked into this, and that's because the chipset in the Saturn compared to the Mega Drive is different. So I don't know if you've experienced that before with Everdrives, but going back to my first point, save states. Let's talk about save states. Is that a form of cheating, or is that a really good thing that maybe games should have had back in the day, or retro games known to be mega hard?
Is it any different to up, down, left, right, A, B, C, and stuff.
Yeah, because that's just a level select. Save states, you can actually save at a certain point in a level.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I think it's modern convenience, isn't it? It's definitely modern convenience, and well, you can choose to use it, or you can choose not to use it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
good, isn't it? It's all positive.
I mean, some of these really long retro games, for instance, I know Pete will know this. I was playing Kid Chameleon.
I watched that one, yeah.
You see that one? And I played it for an hour and a half, and I didn't use any save states, and I had loads of lives, loads of continues, got to a certain level, it was kicking my ass. I had to use the save state to get me past it because it was just kicking my ass. I got past it, and it turned out I only got to the end of World 1 boss. I think there's like 4 worlds, 103 levels. How are you supposed to beat that? If you're
But didn't a lot of them games have
me back in the day?
Did they have passwords?
No passwords.
No passwords.
If you also look at Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo,
Yeah.
there was no saving in that game whatsoever, so you have to play it from start to finish.
One sitting retro games.
Yeah, and I remember playing that in high school, and I think I got up early on a Saturday morning and finished it by 8 or 9 o'clock at night. It's at least 6 to 8 hours long. It's massive, and if you get halfway through the game and want to go somewhere else or go out or whatever, you've got no choice other than maybe leaving it on pause.
Yeah. So, do you think save states on an Everdrive has got you back into certain games that you've been put off by before in the past because of the length of the games?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's a good feature. And I mean, there were a lot of games actually back in that era that, to be honest with you, were too hard and they were kind of flawed in a way.
Yep.
It gets around that and it will let you appreciate more of the game. So I think that's definitely a positive.
Yeah. Right then, guys. Can you guys read the comments? I'm just going to go to the toilet. I'll be back in 2 secs. Read those comments.
Okay, I'll have a little look down, guys.
Mine's just not. They're not coming through. Mine's just frozen.
LFC game is gone. Maybe that was a while ago, I think. See you guys later. It's been a pleasure. So let's just have a look.
Someone made an interesting comment about during the 90s, pause overnight. That was my save state. That was mine as well.
Was that on a retro system, is it? Oh no. Someone different? Who said that then? Oh, Matt's gone. Solvent Retro's gone. He's said his phone battery's about to die, so he's gone. But looks like it's going well. So if you're still with us, Matt, see you later, mate. If you've gone, have a good sleep. So let's have a look here. Oh, Rockstar Runner, he's got a split too. So he said he'll make it next time, guys. He flushed it from chat. So, here's my first friend.
See you, Rob.
I'll see you soon, Rob. Take care, mate. Did I sound Australian then? Let's just have a look. Alright, so Keith last. I was looking at Mega Drive. Sorry, yeah, I was looking at Mega Drive Everdrives on eBay. So less than £50 buys you every Mega Drive and system game ever made, which is great to play. You don't really earn anything, do you? And for a collector, you'd up on a shelf too. It doesn't feel quite right. I've only got a small collection of Mega Drive games, less than 20. And I'm only looking to really pick the games I had back in the 80s. So that's kind of what we were chatting about before.
Yeah.
You can get an Everdrive if you want to play different things. But if you just want your nostalgia or your nostalgic collection, then you can just get what you have.
Sorry, Woodland put a comment about the echo that's coming from you, Steve.
I think it's all of us who've got an echo. It's one of us who's got the YouTube app open in the background.
I needed that laugh. I really did.
But Paul, have you got YouTube app open in the background or anything?
Have I got any? What?
I'm just wondering if anyone's got a YouTube app open in the background. That's why we're getting an echo.
No.
No.
I only hear it when you talk, Steve. I don't hear it any other time.
Right, what I'll do then, I'll dive out and dive back in.
Okay.
I'm back.
That was a very fast poo.
Small poo.
Try it now, Steve.
You're echoing now, Paul.
What?
You've got an echo.
Echo.
Ah.
Fucking technical difficulties.
Oh, look who's here.
Frankie. Who's this? Say hello to him.
Hey, Frank. Quite shy.
Is Frank an Everdrive fan? Does he approve?
Now we're all echoing.
Do you like Everdrives? Well, I'm not echoing here at my end.
No, I think we all are though.
What, have we run into some technical issues?
Yeah, it's a distortion in the space-time continuum, mate.
Well, I've only been out of room 5 minutes.
There's no echo, you know.
It's gone to shit.
Yeah, when you went, mate, it all fell to pieces.
Did you read all the comments out?
We got down so far, and then Woodland said that he's broadcasting from the fucking cave. Or cave. He didn't actually say fucking cave, but you know what? So I'll do that in there.
Oh, so what? Are you broadcasting from a cave? There's an echo, 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 echo.
So are we going to get onto emulation then? Is that the next?
Let me just no. Has this echo just started? Or has it always been there?
I noticed it with Steve, but that was it. Now I can hear it with everyone.
Everyone. I can hear it now myself.
What are you doing, Russ? Adjusting the temporal flux.
The echo isn't new, it's been going on for ages. How long, Pete? Since the start of the stream?
Is it when everyone talks?
You mean to say it's been going on all this time? It shouldn't be, though. No one else got an extra thing open?
No, that's that before. No one's got like the YouTube open in the background or Google Plus or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. I don't know them.
Can't hear anything.
37. I'm pro emulation. Just because I can't afford to collect with today's stupid prices. I'm sure you have covered that though.
Well, we're about to start on emulation, aren't we?
Emulation versus Everdrive. Which is better? Which would you rather do?
I think it. Well, again, I think it's not the case of which would you rather. I mean, for me, I like both because emulation can give you things that an Everdrive can never give you, such as MAME. which is a massive. I mean, MAME's a massive thing, isn't it? You think of the community efforts from very talented people that's gone into producing that emulator over, what, 15 years? Something like that?
At least.
At least. Yeah, late 90s.
Yeah, I was using MAME in the 90s, in the late 90s.
Yeah.
I was really late getting into MAME, and that's what got me back into retro gaming, because I was always someone that every time a new console came out, I sold the last one to get the new one. And I got to about PS3, Xbox 360, and just talking to a chap about old games, and I just said, oh, I love arcade games. And he just said, well, you can play them all on your PC, and I never knew about it. And then just downloaded MAME, downloaded ROM, put it in the input, and I just blown away that I could have all these arcade games now and play them again.
I was blown away. You know, I think I downloaded it, and I downloaded the Outrun ROM, and put it on, and it was after burner as well, and I thought, fucking hell, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it was on the computer in front of me, and it was the original game, you know, the arcade game I played as a kid.
It was Street Fighter 2 that blew my mind, because I was playing it on SNES. Last time I played it was on like a SNES or something like that, where it was really good. But then just to have the arcade one, just like that, unreal.
I mean, I don't know if you guys might be aware, I mean, I'm looking at getting maybe a MAME cabinet this year at some point. Probably later in the year, get the summer out the way and that, but I've always wanted one, and I really want a MAME cabinet. But I know you've got one, Lee. I mean, you've got quite a lot of experience with that, and I know Russ has got one as well.
Mm.
I mean, what are your? I mean, what's the experience of a good MAME? I mean, I know you've had a bit of trouble with yours, Russ, in the past with the builder of it. But if you were to get a good quality MAME cabinet, they had no trouble with, for example. I mean, because yours was working fine for years though as well, Russ, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah. I mean, mine's fine now. I mean, Beeps did mine. The first one, it just died of death, really.
Has yours got a proper arcade monitor, or has yours got a PC monitor?
No, it's just an LCD PC monitor.
Yeah, mine was fine until I moved it to a proper arcade. I wanted a proper arcade monitor so I could play them at proper resolution.
Well, like CRT?
You can, yeah, I think it's a Wells Gardner or something. It's come out of a Point Blank cab, I think. But it's you can get a graphics card for a PC, and it allows PC to output resolution at a rate more like 280 by whatever it is or something like that. So you get pixel perfect, proper arcade quality graphics. But they're just a pain, because once an arcade cab monitor goes, I can't get no one to come and fix it.
Mm.
But as having an arcade cab, I mean, that was my dream. My dream's always playing games. It were always arcade games. That was the end of it. We're addicted to arcade games. So to have an arcade with every game on, it was amazing, but the reality is when you finally get it, the number of times I used to switch it on and spend half an hour flicking through games, and half an hour pass and I ended up turning it off because I'd run out of time.
But is that because it comes down to too much choice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like 10,000 games on there. I wouldn't be able to play all them games in my lifetime. It's just too many.
I mean, just moving away slightly from that, we've had an interesting comment from Carl. He's put, Everdrive is the same as emulation, really. You're playing from a ROM. There's no real difference. It's like when people buy a Retron 5 and play their real carts. It's still emulation.
Ego Paul.
And Mr. C, he's commented, as we've been chatted, not really. Emulations emulates the hardware. The Everdrive doesn't emulate.
There's a massive difference. I mean, you play an emulation PC and you play an Everdrive, and it's chalk and cheese. I mean, it stands out a mile.
Yeah, I've got to say the same. Emulation is different to playing on an Everdrive, as long as you've got decent ROMs.
Yeah.
You've got to have decent. If you've got decent ROMs, like I said before, I could play Sonic 2, the original cartridge. I could play Sonic 2, Everdrive. I won't notice. You give me a bloody emulator, put Sonic 2 on an emulator. You could tell with the sound alone.
So to be fair, most people couldn't sell Sonic 2 though, could they, Russell? But you probably noticed like
No,
one
it's just
pixel
years of
that
training.
place.
It's years of training.
The other thing that's probably worth noting is most of those big compilation discs that you'll see that like 30 Sega games on the Xbox 360 or PS3, those big bundle collections, all of those are running emulators.
Oh yeah, they play horrible.
Yeah.
I was reading something about what were it now? I think it was Sonic, not Sonic, Sega Genesis collection on the 3DS. It was basically saying that they were just emulating. No, it wasn't. It was Nintendo. What were it now? It was Super Mario Brothers on the Wii Virtual Console.
Yep.
Is emulated.
Yeah, that's right. It's a whole emulated platform.
Yeah, it plays a lot worse than the original NES version.
It depends. It depends on the emulator itself and how much time they've actually put into it. Some games come across really well, but then I've seen other ones where the picture will be a lot softer than it would be, or you might find other issues on the game as well, like Majora's Mask, for instance. That was, I think it was on the Wind Waker Collector's Edition. It came with it, and that was effectively running an N64 emulator on there, and that was pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing where all right, there may be a little bit behind the curve with the later 3D games, but where certainly the 16-bit era, if you want to call them the amateur community, is far better than the professional community, the emulation side of things, because people that emulate in the community are very passionate about perfect emulation, and they get it as good as they can. So, and groups of people around the world that will be involved in projects, the Genesis has got a few good emulators, hasn't it? What's the Mega Drive? But there's an emulator called Gems. I know that was very community-driven. I think it was discontinued now, unfortunately, but for a while that was the leading one. But there's one that's better than that now. But they were really passionate about giving a really authentic, as much experience with. In a commercial product that's released, they just want to hash something together, it works, get it how it works. So I think the community is very important with emulation, and it is a big community worldwide, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose the other thing that's also worth mentioning with emulation is the fact that you're preserving game history, because eventually over time those carts or whatever are going to break. They're just not going to be around anymore. And there's been evidence in the past of games just absolutely just disappearing, either due to the lack of distribution, and some of those games end up just disappearing altogether, whereas emulation helps keep them alive.
Well, yeah, in many cases it does keep them alive, and it actually brings them back from the dead. Well, I used to have let me think. It's not so much emulation, but it is a ROM dump, so it's the same kind of thing. I used to be a big Dreamcast collector back in the day.
Yep.
A game that never came out called Propeller Arena, because of 9/11, because it was flying through a city and you give a sense of skyscraper. And that came out via the emulation community or the ROM community, which is very much the same thing in certain things. And that would have never ever seen the light of day, and it's a really good game. And no one had ever played it, and there's all sorts of like Star Fox 2.
Yeah, that's another example of that.
And there's all sorts out there that really we wouldn't have played or seen. And so often it's like the original creators would steal a bit of the code, or would steal a copy of the game, and they would sort of sneak it out there, wouldn't they?
Yep. It happened with oh man, what was it? One of the Zelda games that they used to distribute over over satellite. Yeah, I can't think of the name of it now. I think it was like BS Zelda or something. They were distributing some of it each month over the course of, or each week over the course of a few weeks. And I think it was one of the developers that worked on the game eventually had all 4 or 5 bits that made up the entire distribution of it, and he dumped it online.
Yeah.
He did it anonymously, but it was sometimes it's the developer just trying to get code out or get their game noticed again.
Because they are artists at the end of the day, and you know, gaming is an art form. I think it's only last few years it's been recognised as that.
Yep.
You know, this is why I think like I know like Matt's off on Retro does his pixel arts and things. Like Russ has got a fine selection behind him there. You know, yeah, but people actually do appreciate that as an art form now.
Yep.
Things have
Definitely.
Things have changed and moved on a bit. I mean, probably as ourselves from that generation have grown up, and we see it in an adult way as an art form. I think maybe that's why it's happened. But I mean, I think there was a Sonic. Sega had like an internet channel, didn't it, very early on? Russell probably knows the name of it. I can't remember. It was only in Japan, wasn't it?
Mm.
And there was a Sonic game that was only available to people via download.
Yep.
And I can't. Well, that's a ROM, and you can emulate that now.
Sonic game.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
I just finished reading the Console Wars book, and they actually mentioned this game in it. I just, for the life of me, can't remember what it was called.
I think I know what you mean. It's the to do with counting and shit.
I can't think of it now. It's very similar to the Zelda example I gave before.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, I mean, emulation. The first time I experienced emulation properly was when I first got into YouTube, actually, and I started the Tubers High Score Challenge. And Gary, I said only 150, who was also in the Tubers High Score Challenge, he's mentioned about emulators preserving ROMs and letting people experience arcade games. I think without emulation, a good 50, 60, 70% of the arcade games would never be played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many years before my time. Many wouldn't, you know, many would not exist.
Or
Ever.
be in landfills.
Yeah, be in landfills, or you know, you might have one copy and some collector in bloody Arizona, and no one else in the world's got one. But you know, yeah, MAME, you can't underestimate the importance of MAME in particular, I think, because these are games that were never distributed. They were manufactured in the thousands rather than in tens or millions. So they were very limited originally, and you know, we all get to experience them now. And the people behind MAME were, you know, no way pirates. They're just passionate gamers that appreciated what it was, which was an art form. And what can you say about MAME? It's not, anyone that's played MAME knows how good it is. That's all I'll say.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, emulation and the Everdrive. I think we've come to the conclusion that they're two separate things.
Yep.
Do we agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think it's like what you're saying, isn't it? It's, as long as it's making people play these games and carry on playing them. It's like now my 4-year-old little lad who used to go on arcade cab on, and now he goes on Everdrive and he's playing games that he'd never play. Ever play.
Yeah. I don't think there's no right and wrong answer with the discussion we've had tonight with Everdrive and emulation. But like I said, Lee, it gets you playing the games, which is what I enjoy. I like to come up to my little man cave, and I've always said it's like a time portal to 1992 for me. I can come up here and couple of switches, flick those, and boom, I'm playing Sonic 2, or I'm playing any game. I mean, I've got all my systems. They're all
Don't lie, Ross. Don't
Skies
lie.
and that. And what's that, Steve?
Don't lie. Other games.
I do play other games. You don't be watching my hashtag GRS.
Yeah, they're just empty boxes behind you, Russ. They've all got Sonic 2 in them.
They're all Paul C's Sonic 2s. I keep them in storage. Keep them in storage in those boxes over there.
You're the only person with an Everdrive with every different slight variant of Sonic 2, aren't you?
I've got the Japanese version of Sonic 2.
And how does that differ? Is it much different apart from the title screen?
It plays exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Yeah. To be honest, I can't knock my Everdrive. I think it's definitely got a place in any retro games collection.
Yeah.
Whether you want to use it purely as your main game playing source, or you just want to use it every now and again, it's definitely useful. Same as emulation. If you've not got the space, if you've not got access for a big old school CRTV or even a modern TV, or a separate room for all your games collection, you can emulate on a laptop or a bloody iPhone or an Android phone. I mean, that's how good emulation is today. But yeah.
The Master System as well. I was really impressed with Master System games playing on Everdrive. I couldn't see any different there neither with them, performance-wise. I don't know if it'd be ever worth buying a Master System Everdrive cart and putting it in and having a look what it looks like, but it seems to run fine on Mega Drive.
I think he's gone for a piss, Carl.
Gone for a piss, yeah.
He's back down. Yeah. The only thing with the Master System, I've had a few technical issues, but that could be down to the ROM set I'm using. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mega Drive wise, it's fine. So.
Yeah, you just don't know, do you? I mean, I like to sort of try and chat about MAME arcade cabinets, really, because I'm thinking of getting one, so this is really interesting to me at this point. And I know some of you guys have got cabinets. I mean, Lee, you said before it's kind of like a kid in a candy store when you get one and you spend half your time going through. I mean, I think of getting one like in my dining room downstairs, so when people come round and like have like a party or whatever, just hit it on in the corner and just as a communal thing, like it's
Steve,
kind
I
of.
want to come to some of these parties you have.
I don't have many parties, mate.
It's funny you say that though, because that was one of the main enjoyments that I actually sort of got from my arcade cabinets when I'd get a few lads round.
Yeah.
Just seeing everybody just get on it and just absolutely be buzzing. But for me, I get to see it every day. I can play them games every day, whereas them, it's just like a one-off.
Yeah.
For that split second, they've gone back in time into old arcades, and they're having like a 4-player Turtles or Final Fight or Street Fighter 2 competitions, and that's where I sort of got my enjoyment from it from. But again, are you just thinking of just having MAME on it, or would you put all Sega? Like an hyperspin type thing with everything on it.
I'll put a front end on. I mean, I can't be arsed building one or looking around.
Well, while we're on the subject of MAME, Brian Beeps texted me earlier on, and he's doing modded Wii's with loads of emulators on. Yeah.
I need to reach out to him about the Xbox.
Yeah, well, apparently the Wii's, he says, are a lot better than the Xboxes with coin-ops on. He sent me some screenshot pictures, and they look really good. It basically emulates everything, and everything's loaded on there, and it's apparently better than coin-ops on the Xbox. So, if you're interested, guys,
yeah, definitely.
check out Beeps.
I've got emulators on Wii for SNES at Mega Drive, and I
We've
played
got a little guest here, haven't we?
How do?
Hey,
Right,
boss.
Dave.
How's Dave going?
Did you not want me in?
Who's invited you in, Dave?
You left it open, so I'm coming in to wreck this. Gruss, tell me what kind of pie you like.
Steak bake from Greg's.
Oh, what, sorry?
Steak bake from Greg's.
That's a pasty, you liar.
Meat and potato, Dave. Meat and potato.
That's nice.
You clicked on that link, haven't you?
Yes!
Yes. Sneaky man you with your tash.
Well, you wrecked all my videos on Tuesday. I'm here to wreck this, so how do?
How do? How the devil are you?
It's been an awful day, but I'll leave it at that.
Maybe are you in the toilet or the living room?
I'm in the living room.
Is your good lady in bed or is she at the side of you?
She's in the bath.
She's in the bath.
Yes.
In the bath. So quickly, Dave, because we are trying to wrap this up now. We're approaching the 2 hour mark. What's your thoughts and feelings on Everdrives and emulations?
They're all right.
They're all right.
The nose.
That nose cup. Here, Dave, I've got a joke for you.
Go on, tell me.
I've got 2 jokes for you.
Oh.
A Barnsley bloke takes his cat to the vets.
Go on.
Have you heard this?
Yeah, go on.
He takes his cat to the vets, and he says to the vet, "There's something not right with my cat, Mr. Vet Man." And vet turns round and says, "Is it a Tom?" He says, "No, it's here in here. It's in this cage with me now."
Fucking hell.
Talk about ending on an high note.
Like that.
Have you? Yeah, I liked it. Have you heard that one with Geordie Doctor?
Go on.
Yeah, Geordie Doctor goes into Geordie Doctor. Geordie goes in to see him, and he says, "Doctor, under my arms, it smells of coconut." So Doctor says, "Well, it bounty."
It's what?
Willy Bounty.
Oh, God.
I wish I was dead. Anyway, Everdrives. Yeah, they're alright.
Hey, Dave, you've got a SNES Everdrive, haven't you?
Oh,
Have you got one?
No, I'm not now.
Why ain't you got one?
Because I'm waiting for this link that you're going to send me for yours.
Well, I'm not telling you because you smell.
Well, I'll just get it off Lee because Lee's got the same one as you.
Oh, well, I like Lee and I don't like you.
No, it's not like
I ain't got SNES Everdrive yet.
I thought you had one, Lee.
No, I've been looking, but
It was all just a lie.
I went for Mega Drive first.
I'll tell you what, I had another joke, but I forgot it now. I lost on me earlier on. Keep talking, I'll try and remember it. You were another Barnsley one.
I'll tell you another pet shop based joke.
Go on then.
Okay, a man goes into a pet shop and he buys 9 parrots.
Yeah.
Okay. He gets them, takes them home, puts them in a cage, and he puts 3 on the top perch, 3 on the middle perch, and 3 on the bottom.
How many on the bottom?
And 3 on the bottom. Okay.
3 top, 3 middle, 3 bottom.
Yeah, but how many of the 9 parrots does he actually
Sorry,
own?
man. Sorry, please. Go on.
So how many of those 9 parrots does he actually own?
I don't do maths.
You don't know?
Nah, go on.
I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
He only owns 3, because the rest are on hire purchase.
Whey!
Oh, God.
Phenomenal. Hashtag biblical. There were another joke I wanted to tell you, but I forgot it now.
Hashtag wrap this shit up.
Hashtag.
Oh, Woodland's saying, why did the vet turn around? I don't know. Why did the vet turn around, Carl? Is it John? No, it's here. We're in cage with me now.
How much have you had to drink?
3 bottles.
Of what? Bleach?
Pure mess.
So are you saying that you've just drunk a bunch of Pledge, or what's it called? Toilet duck.
Toilet duck.
Anyway, we need to wrap this up now because we're.
No, I've got all my opinions. I've got all my onions to give.
Well, we've heard it. You said they're all right.
Well, what other things might I have to say about them?
Ah, they're all right, yeah.
I'm not letting you finish.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, yeah, I think they're pretty good. I just don't get why everybody gets the bollocks in a twist about it. Grow up.
Well, Dave, this is why we're having a friendly discussion.
Well, that's it. That's my final point. That's it.
Okay, that's Dave's final point. Let's move on to Paul C. What's your final point on the Everdrive emulation topic?
Yeah, it's pretty much what's already been covered. I think it's good for the community. It's good for preserving games. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you if you weren't going to collect games to begin with, well, then it's not really going to affect whether you're playing them on emulation or not. It's not really going to affect it either way. So I don't know. I see both options are both really good. It just depends on what sort of experience you want at the end of the day.
Cool. Cool beans. Stevie?
I just think, I think emulation, Everdrives, it's all good. I mean, anyone that sees negatives in those things is a bit of an arse. But anyway, yeah, I just think there's no downsides to it at all. There you go.
It does help if you want to play on the. See, this is a serious point. Like on the Mega CD, I wanted to play Snatcher, and there was just literally no chance to play that.
Yeah.
It's just too expensive. There's just
Yep.
no chance.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, Finchy, you couldn't get your Snatch?
I have a Snatch.
Okay, moving on. Lee.
Wrap this up. Wrap this up before we get a strike.
What's your final points on the topic of this evening?
Well, at the end of the day, games are meant to be played, so it doesn't matter how you play them. It doesn't matter what you play them on, does it? Just as long as you play them. As long as everyone keeps playing them.
Yeah.
Play on.
Play with them.
Play on. So there we go, guys. That's our first ever live stream from the Northern Tubers.
I really enjoyed that. The 15 minutes hour here. Right good.
Well, maybe, just maybe, you can make next, you know?
No.
No? No.
Can I ruin it? Can I ruin it like I did this one?
Dave, my finger is hovering over the mute button. You see my hand here? Look. See my hand? It's hovering.
It's a nice hand.
Eject, mute, eject, mute. Right then, guys. So it's been 2 hours now. We've done 2 hours of hard debate, discussion, friendly talking, chatting. We've had some excellent comments. We've had some a really good turnout for his first ever live stream. We will be back for another one if you'll have us.
Are they going to have us?
They'll have us, yeah. They'll have us. I don't know about you, Dave, but they'll have us. Topic. We've got loads of topics. Tons of topics to talk about.
We don't really. We don't.
We have. We've got loads, Dave. We've got loads.
We couldn't think of anything for tonight.
You looked at your Google Docs.
Dave, this stream has been planned for months. You know this. You know this.
Maybe Russ, next time we could do the intricate layout and playthrough of Sonic 2. No, pixel by pixel. What do you think?
We could do, but it could take some time. Frame by frame. I've actually watched a few videos on speedrunning of Sonic 2. and they do actually do frame by frame. Fascinating stuff, Steve. Fascinating. But anyway, we need to wrap it up now, guys. It's been 2 hours of hard graft, and I need another wee. So big thanks to everyone. We've got 6 viewers left. 7 viewers. It's going up.
Because I showed up.
YouTube, Lucas McIntosh, good old Carl, Gary Acidonia 150, and probably us. You're probably counting us as the other viewers. And King Arthur. Oh, by the way, Steve, Tom, King Arthur has put, I would get a genuine arcade cab with a PC and JPack. Stay away from the LCD self-built stuff is his advice.
That's what I've got. That's mine's got a JPack. It's still got all original power supply and that, and so I could put a PCB in if I wanted to.
There you
Best
go.
of both worlds.
Well, that's another topic for another day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Candy cabs versus Steve. Candy cabs versus Steve.
Wow, you have a lot of competition, Steve. Give up now. Arcade cabs will crush you to death.
They will rape me.
Right. Okay then, guys.
Hi, Frank.
Frank's going. Let's hold him up. Is he up?
Hey, Frank.
Right. I'm going to click the old stop broadcast button. So thanks everyone who's watched. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye everybody.
Love you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.